did you end up in WCW? I mean,
with paying for my sins. I was burning out in Mexico, and it was time for an evolution in life because Mexico was coming to an end. And once you get used to a certain style of life, mentally it's almost like an addiction. So I was burning out in Mexico. There was really nowhere that I wanted to be, and nobody really wanted to be with me anymore because we did it for 9-10 years. And I was very fortunate. Norman Smiley got me an audition for WCW in Universal Studios, and it was on a Sunday afternoon, and I met Terry Taylor, and Terry Taylor to me is like a father. I absolutely respect and love Terry Taylor, and he said, "Hey kid, we need to do the job," and all that kind of stuff. And I worked with Eddie Guerrero. I keep hearing that Eddie Guerrero didn't really like me, and he wrote things in his book, but Eddie and I kind of grew up together before the fame stuff, and I don't see what he saw. I love Eddie, and if Eddie was offended by anything I've done, Eddie, I'm sorry. But that was that. I couldn't stand the American style of wrestling. It just wasn't for me, I guess.
What made you choose WCW over going to possibly WWF at that time?
When I got the match with Eddie, and I mean, we beat the out of each other. And they said, "Hey, Eric Bischoff wants you to come to Nitro the next day." And I had the match with Brad Armstrong, and that match got me my contract. That night, and because I did some martial arts stuff, and Eric's a big martial arts guy, and I was a taller, bigger guy, and there's not a lot of people who were moving like that at the time, my size. And they offered me a deal right, like literally coming out of the ring. They were waiting. J.J. Dillon was there, and he says, "Hey," and I said no. And they said, "Let us sweeten the deal." And it was like, there's absolutely no way at that stage in life that I could say no to that. So I said, "Yes, of course." And they said, "Okay, come to the office tomorrow." Because this was, because they flew us back to Atlanta. And at that night at dinner, Johnny Ace came in. And Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis, who's also a friend of mine, was working in All Japan. And he was the guy bringing people to All Japan and bringing people to the WWF. And he said, "Listen, whatever they're offering you, we can better it." And I out of loyalty and correct ethics, I had already verbally committed. And being old school taught, you don't disrespect and jump just for a few more dollars. So it was kind of one of those things.
So did it bother you when the Brood, Gangrel, Edge, and Christian, debuted right in WWF right after you signed to WCW? Do you think those characters were done to counteract what you were bringing?
100%. But no, I thought it was awesome. I loved, I'm a horror freak, and I love that kind of stuff, and their entrance, and there was 3 of them, and the name and the Brood and all that. I thought it was, I loved it. I really did. I didn't watch a lot of it. I was aware of it, and I thought it was just the coolest thing. Is it known that because of me that was there? No. Is it no? But I've been told by the correct people that was kind of the competition of, not that they or I were our competition, the scenario. So, and I met everybody, and we're all cool, man. We're all friends, so it's awesome.
The NWO was still huge around this time. What were your interactions like with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash?
They were pretty non-existent, and they weren't good. The little bit that there was, because there were certain other people politicking, and I wasn't even aware of it. But to block, wrestling is evil, and we basically didn't have any. And then over time, once. Sorry, this is kicking my ass. Once they saw that the people politicking against me were in the wrong, things started to shift. But we became friends after WCW.
TitleMatchNetwork.com